All right. Let me see here. Let's go ahead and go live. Give it a few seconds to come in, and we will create a live stream on Instagram. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the live stream. If you are watching this recording, it's going to be a quick one today. Ideally, this would be less than an hour, like we've been doing for the past couple of days. It may be up to an hour, it may not, but we're here and we're live. And I'm going to set this up to go live on Instagram as well. As you may have noticed, you may not know that, or you do. I am using StreamYard to go live on both my computer and my phone. I'm live on TikTok. Feel free to put in questions. Today is going to be a conversation that will grow into. Where did I put my phone? Oh, that's funny. I'm using my phone on TikTok and I was looking for my phone. It's right here. So I'm going to use my tablet to find the Notes app because it's in the notes and I wrote the notes we're going to use today. It's going to be 5 questions to help you learn from your past. 5 questions to help you learn from your past. Why is that relevant? Why is it necessary? A little bit about my story. I moved from Cameroon, where I was born and raised, to the US a few years ago. Welcome to the stream, Yempa. Welcome to Stream Ipo. Thanks for joining on TikTok, wherever you are. I'm going to just go straight into it. One of the things that I thank you for the likes. Thank you. One of the things that I learned the last time was I was taking forever to get to my point. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to go in there. When I start the stream, I'll just be going. I'll just get going. I'll just go. So let me go ahead and start this on what's it called? On Yampa. Thank you. I really appreciate you. So 5 questions to help you learn from your past. What makes me qualified to talk about this topic? I'm not qualified. I don't think anybody is qualified to talk about any topic really. But my experience is the following. Just quick jump through. I was born in Cameroon, raised there, moved to the US in 2018. My fiance at the time was here, came here. I was so disillusioned about life in the US. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't understand what marriage was. I didn't understand what being a husband was. I had a lot of things to learn. And I can only say this now looking back. So, as you can imagine, that marriage failed. And I had to pick up the pieces of wherever I was. It was a painful experience for me. I'm pretty sure it was a painful experience for my ex. We're not in talking terms, not for any specific reason, just for the fact that when things like that happen, people change. And things I used to believe change. Things just can go very different places. I'm not going to go into that. But I had to learn from my past. I had to pick up those pieces. I had to start and really consider, okay, this is what I came to do in this country. I came here with this mindset. It didn't work out. What do I do now? Right? What do I do? I'm here. I thought of going back to Cameroon. I thought of going to my dad's farm and just working there. And even something I tell my wife now, because I remarried, by the way. I tell my wife, like, yeah, at the time I actually considered going back and going and starting something agriculture. Like I was really set on, you know what, if I go back to Cameroon, I'm going to go to the farm, I'm going to start working there and just figure something out. That was my mindset. By God's grace, and by many things that I cannot explain, like, oh, I planned and I worked very hard. I did love hard work. I did love things, but I ended up here. I'm here now. I live here. The US is my home. I'm very happy here, happily married. I'm not saying this to like impress anybody. I really genuinely enjoy the life that I have. And I'm very satisfied with things. Like I'm working towards my goals, taking care of myself. I feel pretty good. But that did not come by me just waiting. I had to look back. I had to take a hard look at what I had done. I had to take a hard look at the life that I had lived and make some changes. So today I want to share with you 5 questions that could help you. If you find yourself in that kind of position, if you find yourself wondering, like, yeah, this thing has happened. Maybe your relationship ended. Maybe you lost your job. Maybe, things are not working out. How do you learn from that experience? So this is a work in progress. I'm going to share with you, I'm going to write about this, and I want to build this up. So I'm hoping that you will give me your feedback and you share it. Stella says, happily married. Yes, I am. So I'll please leave your comments, leave any questions that you have. I'll be more than happy to add in the end. The live stream is going to run for an hour. It starts at 5 p.m. Central, ends at 6 p.m. I want to do 30 minutes today, but depending on how you go, we might go longer. So, Yempa, I really appreciate you liking the TikTok. It's really nice. Thank you so much. It's really cool. So, the first question that I have here for you is one, what could I have done differently? What could I have done differently? And the goal of this question is to shift responsibility from the world to yourself. A lot of times when things happen that would not expect to happen, when life hits you, you lose a job unexpectedly, you fall sick, you lose someone you care about, whether through a relationship that ends or they actually die. You know, it's easy to look at the world and blame everybody else for what happened. This first question, really, for me, when I asked myself, what could I have done differently? I shifted the blame from my ex to myself. I shifted the blame from the world to myself in a sense that I took control and asked myself, what are those areas? What are the things that happened during this breakup that I could have controlled? It gave me a lot of power in the sense that it allowed me to be able to question my own behavior, look at my behavior objectively, and ask myself, did I do something wrong? What could I have done differently? Could I have spoken differently? Could I have addressed disagreements differently? Could I have communicated differently? Could I have acted differently? Could I have set different goals? Asking this question when you're going through pain, when you're going through difficulty, will help you to shift the focus from external world back to yourself. Like, what could I have done differently? That's the first question. Shifting responsibilities to yourself. And I say this because it's very important to understand that you cannot keep blaming people for things that happen. Even if those people cause those things to happen, sitting in that place of blame, complaining, accusing people, the ABCs as I call it, it doesn't help you. If it does, well, keep doing it. But in most cases, it doesn't. So when you ask this question, what could I have done differently? You're forced to pause and look at the situation and actually ask yourself, what can I do? What could I have done? So that's the first question. Second question, what didn't I see coming? What didn't I see coming? Why is this question important? It creates room to acknowledge your blind spots and human biases. All human beings, we have these things called cognitive biases. One of the ones that I really enjoy, not really enjoy, but the first one that pops up in my mind is really confirmation bias. The human mind tends to find evidence that supports an argument that it already holds. So if you already believe in something, you are more likely to find things that justify what you believe in. If you make a bad decision and you think it was a good decision, you will find every reason to justify that decision. So this question allows you to look at, all right, this thing happened. This breakup took place. I lost my job. What didn't I see coming? What did I miss? Right? It gives you an opportunity to really look at your perspective of, wait, I thought I was smart. I thought I was mature. I thought I was cool tempered. I thought I was entrepreneurial. I thought I was gentle. But clearly, based on the situation, you realize that you weren't the person they thought that you were. So what didn't you see coming? Maybe you didn't see coming the fact that you lost your temper. Maybe you didn't see coming the fact that you trusted the wrong people, that your sense of judgment was flawed. Maybe you didn't see coming the fact that somebody made a promise and they broke it, and you did not realize the signs that they were going to break that promise. So when you ask this question number 2, which is, what didn't I see coming? It's to allow you to really look at your life and say, well, I'm a human being. I make mistakes. What are some of those mistakes that I made? And what can I learn from them? So the whole point of these questions is to help you learn from the thing that has already happened. You cannot change what has happened, but you can learn from it. That's what this exercise is all about. So number 2, what didn't I see coming? And here is to create room to acknowledge your blind spots and your human biases. If you're interested in biases and things, cognitive bias and things like that, let me know in the comment section. I'll share with you some books that you could read about those. But let's continue. Number 3, who has been in a similar position? Who has been in a similar position? Why is this question relevant? It expands your worldview to seek patterns and learn from others and lead you to mentors, or what I want to call mentors. It's like mentors without an N. So I'm going to explain, the whole thing. Who has been in a similar position? When life throws lemons at you, when things are failing, right? When the world isn't working out the way you're expecting, when you find yourself in the dark pit, dark night of the soul, and it's just you tend to think that you're the only person who is dealing with that. But I'm sure you've probably seen people who have gone through things that were either worse or similar to your situation. And then you realize that you're not the only one who is dealing with, breakups, difficulties, financial difficulties, emotional difficulties, spiritual difficulties. We all deal with those things at some level. And this question, who has been in a similar position? For me, what it helped me do is to look at people usually online or in books or even characters. I even believe that fictional characters can help us deal with a lot of things that we're dealing with because they provide a medium through which we can look at the situation and judge a little bit. I'd say partially. We can see ourselves in these people, see how they handled it, and if they made a better decision than we did, we can copy that decision, right? We can copy the solution that they found. We can copy the future that they eventually got into. For example, somebody goes through a breakup, it makes them feel really bad about the world. They go into an isolated stage and maybe they do something that's not so good. And you realize, like, well, if I keep doing what I'm doing right now, I may end up in this place and I don't want that. I don't want to end up in this position. Or the reverse, somebody goes through a breakup and it forces them to look at their life and review the way that they were looking at relationships, and it changes their perspective on relationships. So I think asking and looking at people who have been in a similar position can help you review the path that you can take. So for those who are just joining, who are watching here, we're answering 5 questions, actually asking 5 questions to help you learn from your past. And the one that we just asked is the third question, which is who has been in a similar position? The second part of this question is leading you to mentors or mentors. Mentors is a word that I'm making up. A mentor is someone that you learn from. A mentor is someone you don't want to learn from. Think of it like there are people who make bad decisions and then keep making worse decisions, and you want to be able to identify those people, identify those patterns of behavior in order to avoid them. You don't want to be in a position where you're doing the wrong thing and then you have somebody in front of you who is actually doing the wrong thing and failing in life, and you're just falling for the same situation, right? You don't want to do that. So when you look at your surroundings or even online or in fictional characters, do you see somebody who is in a similar position as you? How are they handling the situation? That is one question they can use to help you navigate, difficult paths. Number 4, how can I prepare for the next time it happens? How can I prepare for the next time it happens? Why is this question relevant? Why is it important? I think this question is good because it helps to remove you from your current situation. I'm using the example of a breakup because I think nearly everybody has gone through a breakup at some point in your life, right? How can I make sure my breakup doesn't happen again? Because if you look at the questions, it's helping you build a profile of the situation. It's helping you understand what happened and to make a more sound decision. It's always going to make a more sound decision to think about, like, what did I do? How can I make sure it doesn't happen again? How can I prepare for the next time it happens? So it shifts you into the future. So you stop wallowing in the situation, you stop crying about it, you stop worrying about it and wasting energy. I'm not saying you shouldn't cry. I'm not saying you shouldn't mourn or weep. That's not what I'm saying. Trust me. I think I shared in my article I shared yesterday, I was talking about the fact that I was in my room alone. My sister had just died and there was nobody around me. I didn't have any family. I didn't have any close people. My parents are in Cameroon, my siblings, the ones that are left in Cameroon. So it was just me. I had no choice. I had to sit there and mourn. So I'm not advocating for swallowing one's feelings and not sharing emotions or talking to people. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about here is you get to a point where you have to decide, are you going to keep crying about the past or make different decisions in the present to affect your future? And it sounds very cold. The thing is, life will keep moving on. You're watching me right now and talking to me. Like, if something happened to me, you'll be like, oh, like that was cool. And you move and go to your job, right? You go and do your thing that you're doing. It's nothing personal. It's nothing evil against me. You get to impact people in your life. I get to impact people in my life. But in the grand scheme of things, we're both very insignificant and also very significant. We need to be able to balance both. We need to realize that the difficulty, the pain that we have gone through is not that big of a deal compared to the pain of the world. But also, it's big enough that we can use it to grow. So that's why it's important to ask, how can I prepare for the next time? Shift into the future. Think about the next time it happens. What can you learn from this? And the 5th question, the last question in the series of questions is, what lessons can I share with others so they don't make the same mistake? And why is this question important? Let me repeat again. What lessons can I share with others so they don't make the same mistake? It makes your story less about you. It makes your story less about you. That way you transform this event, this breakup, this job that was lost, this life that was lost. You take this thing that was so painful, that was so difficult, and make it into something wonderful that someone else can learn from it. This is what I'm doing right now. I went through a series of events that I did not plan to go through. I did not choose to be in a position where I was in a new country, newly wedded, lost the marriage. My sister died and I couldn't go for the funeral until later on to go and see her grave. Had to go through a surgery by myself, had to transition like a career. So I went through a couple of things, pretty much successful. Like when I tell this story back to people, like, wait, how did you survive this? I know it's just God's hand, because by myself, I couldn't have survived it. But what I know is that there is someone out there who has a story that is worse than mine. And there's also someone who would hear my story and be like, you know what? I think I'm okay. And that's the beautiful thing about this world. We get to encourage each other. We get to share our stories. We get to communicate. We get to connect. And we get to realize that we are all human beings, all walking this journey of figuring out what God has put in our hearts for us and walking this path together as a community. And I strongly believe that every single person who walks this earth has a role to play, whatever that role is between you and God. But I think it's something that's wonderful. So yeah, that's what I think. The 5 questions to share. So I'm going to recap the questions. I'm going to now talk about the comments here. And if you have any questions, please drop them. I'll just comment on them. This live stream is going to be what? We have a few minutes left. And yeah, so leave your questions, leave your comments. Like, if you're on TikTok and enjoying this, please go ahead and like. I really appreciate you guys watching. I can see your comments, so please leave your comments if you have anything to ask or to add, and I'll be sharing it here. So recap of the questions. 5 questions to help you learn from your past. I'm just going to read through them. 1, what could I have done differently? This question shifts responsibility to yourself. 2, what didn't I see coming? This question creates room to acknowledge your blind spots and your human biases, which we all have. 3, who has been in a similar position? This question helps to expand your worldview to seek patterns and learn from others. Also, it leads you to mentors, people who can help you, or mentors, people you should avoid. 4, how can I prepare for the next time it happens? This shifts you into future thinking. Think less about the problem itself, about the situation that happened, more about how you're going to address it when it happens in the future. If it happens in the future, you're more prepared. And 5, what lessons can I share with others so they don't make the same mistake? This makes your story, what happened, less about you and more about the world and growing your humanity. So let's go ahead and jump into the comment section here. Stella, thank you so much for this. I'll just start from the beginning and share everything that we're talking about. So first thing is, yes, happily married, that part. That's right. I am happily married, and I'm really enjoying marriage. I don't know how to explain this as a guy. It looks like the world keeps telling you that marriage is just for a thing that women want. I knew I enjoyed to be married. I like being married. I'm married to my best friend, and it's really cool. I think it's cool. I think I'm enjoying it too much, honestly. Sometimes I'm like, okay, maybe I should slow down on the enjoyment. And from somebody who was in a divorce saying this, I think it sounds very outrageous, but I think marriage is a wonderful thing that God made. Yeah. Stella says, right, taking responsibility for our actions and inactions helps us narrow our options to what we can control. Yampaka says, why slow down? I'll just say, no, just kidding. I'm not slowing down anytime soon. So thank you for catching that. So taking responsibility for our actions and inactions helps us narrow our options to what we can control instead of things we can't control. It brings us to mindfulness and self-awareness. Thank you, Stella. Stella Iabi is a mindfulness coach. She's more than that. She's a psychologist. She does a lot of work in the community, helping people. And she does this in Cameroon, of all places. When I was in Cameroon, when I left a few years ago, no, less than 6 years ago, it's not that far ago, but the idea of having people work in a mental health space to provide resources to communities is not something that you could easily talk about freely. Times have changed a lot. People are much more open. They're sharing more. And to have someone like Stella who is doing the work that she's doing, I think is amazing. So, Stella, thank you for watching. And please share any resources that you have that people can work on or listen to. That'll be great. So, Yempa, I'm not going to slow down. So thank you for catching that. Stella again says, almost like self-fulfilling prophecies, we keep finding reasons to support our pre-drawn judgments. That's right. The more we think about things, the more they tend to happen. And then we say, I expected that to happen. No. It's difficult to keep thinking about things and not finding ways to make them happen. Your mind, even if you remove the way the world works, your mind will make things happen if you keep thinking about them. What we think about tends to grow. If you think about the things that are painful in your life, the pain grows. If you start developing gratitude, your joy and your heart will grow. Like even when you pray, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Like when we pray, we are called to first of all give thanks. We're called to honor God. We're called to make ourselves realize just how great He is. Right? We are called to have a notion of gratitude. And I think a lot of times when things go bad, which they will because life, we tend to forget the good things. We tend to forget just how wonderful life has been. We forgot all the times that God came through because that's human beings. We focus on the pain more than the joy. And I think it's a human flaw. It's like a bug that we have in our brains if we're computers. And it's not something that we should just allow. We should work against it. No, we should actually meditate on the good things, just like St. Paul calls us to do. So yeah. Next comment here is we can always get wellness resources from those around us, the world around us, etc. Learn about mistakes you want to avoid and systems you want to replicate. 100%. I know that when I was going through the grief with my sister, I had to seek a therapist. I went to Better Health, which some people have said they've had terrible experiences with it. It was a short period. At some point, I realized that okay, this therapy is not helping me, so I stopped. But I'm one of those people who tell you try therapy at least once in your life. If you're not going to do it, make the decision because you understand why you're not doing it. Don't do it because somebody said it was a bad idea. Do it because you've tried it and you don't like it. And also what I've learned is that there are therapies that may not work for you. So finding a good therapist can be a whole process, which I can understand why somebody who goes through for the first time gets a bad experience would never want to do it. So it's a very complicated thing. But I want to believe, like Stella is saying here, that there are resources. I actually remember a book by an author. I think his name is Nick Wignall. He wrote a book about helping you find your therapist. I think that's the title of the book, Find Your Therapist, on Amazon. If you're watching somewhere they can afford it. And the book is really all about how to look for a therapist. So it's to help people who are seeking therapy to know how to identify a good therapist, something like that. So it's a book that I would recommend for anybody who is seeking therapy. And I think everybody should find therapy at some level. And also, personally, hey, Anne-Marie is here. It's like, happy to see you doing your thing. Thank you. Good to see you back on the stream. I appreciate you, Anne-Marie. So I think I was going to say therapy is good. And this is one of the comments I have about therapy. If you have good friends, and this is going to be a little bit not very controversial, if you have people who really care about you, who are honest, who are people who are full of integrity, people who are just and righteous, I think a lot of pastors, priests, sisters, like the people who work in the clergy, ideally, and ideally is like underlined, like big ideally, these people will serve as therapists to their communities because they will come from a place of working in a world and with a life that predisposes them to be able to ask not just the right questions, but also create space to be empathic witnesses to people. I don't think that's the case anymore. But I think that people in authority, parents, guardians, pastors, preachers, they're people who their role, in my personal opinion, is supposed to be people who create those spaces for others. I think if those people did their jobs well by providing for their communities, a lot of therapists will be out of business. That's what I think. So please don't quote me anywhere on that. I just think that if pastors, priests, parents especially did a good job with their kids of raising them well, a lot of therapists will be out of business, which would be a great thing, right? We don't need a lot of therapists. But that's what I think. So, all right. Stella says here, it begins and ends with you, overflows from you onto others. Sorry, it begins in and with you, overflows from you onto others. There's always an outreach in every life experience. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate you. So, yeah, those are my questions. And I pretty much finished the live. I was supposed to go live for like 1 hour. I don't have anything to say anymore. Oh, Wilson, blessing, Ekiko, thank you. Great points for discussion. Thank you for sharing that. That was it. That was what I had to share with you today. So if you have any questions, I can answer them. If you have any comments, anything you want to discuss, I can bring them up. But I'm not going to stay here and waste your time if you don't have anything to talk about, because I'm sure you have things to do. So I appreciate you all. But yeah, that was the stream. We've been doing this for the past 3 days, just coming live 5 p.m. Central on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. and to have these conversations about life in America from a different perspective. I think when a lot of people talk about life in America, there's a lot of pain. There's a lot of don't come here. It's terrible. You're going to drown in debt. And there's a lot of truth in that. There's some truth in it. You look at the economy, you look at the news, you feel like you should not go outside at all. So I'm trying to share a different perspective, which is that if you take personal responsibility, you can greatly improve your chances of having a better outcome of life. I'm not saying that things will suddenly transform and your life will be suddenly better. No, that is not what I'm saying. But that we have a lot more control over a few things that can really move the needle forward in the things that are important. For me personally, when I took my spiritual life more seriously, a lot of things fell in place. I deleted all my dating apps, which wasn't like a big deal. I wasn't like spending too much time there, but I realized that it was a big part of the time that I was wasting, and it wasn't the kind of life that I wanted to live. So I just did away with that. And then when I focused on transforming, moving from the career that I had started, actually changing career path from where I was into a new career path and increasing my income, a lot of things changed. So it was like these blocks, these little steps that I was taking. I didn't realize at the time I was taking these steps. I did not really think about how that was going to affect me now. But I look back, I'm like, wow, if I didn't do XYZ, I would not be here. I would not be able to have been working from home since 2019. That would not have happened if I did not change my attitude about a lot of things. And so my goal with these live streams, my goal with the videos, with the writing is I don't want somebody to have to deal with the pain that I dealt with. You will deal with your pain. We are all guaranteed some level of pain in this life. Like nobody can take away the struggles that you have to struggle with. It's just life. Everybody has their path that they have to walk. You cannot protect everybody. I think of parents who try to protect their kids from things. You cannot protect your children from everything. You cannot protect your spouse, your friend, your siblings. You cannot. Everybody will have to go through their level of pain. What I think is we can reduce it or avoid most of it. But eventually, at some point, we will all have to deal with some level of discomfort. It's just a part of this life. So I just want to share a little bit of what I know to help you, navigate that a little bit better. So yeah. Blessing says, sorry, I only came across the live stream now. Hopefully I can catch it earlier next time. Yes. This is really an experiment for me. I haven't gone live in over a year. I was looking at my StreamYard because I was using StreamYard to do it. June of 2023 was the last time I went live. And I was like, I don't want to just give up. I don't want to over prepare. I don't want to start planning and drawing all these, content calendars. Like, why don't I just go live once a day for this week, just this week, and then let's see how it goes, right? And that's what I decided to do. So on Monday, I was just doing like a test. It was very random, and people thought it was weird. I thought it was interesting. I had so much fun. Yesterday, I talked a little bit about what did I talk about? Thriving America. By the way, if you're interested in the thing, let me know in the comment section and I'll share with you. I did a checklist for people who are in America who want to, just a checklist to see how you're thriving, how things are step by step to help you take personal responsibility, right? All right, cool. So let me, Blessing has a really long comment. I'm going to read it. I like these comments because it helps me to think. So thank you for writing this. So life in America is truly, so she laughs and says, life in America is truly subjective. However, it is to an extent tied to the community of people you meet, which will in a way determine the information you are privy to, coupled with the deliberate decisions you make per time. Most importantly, your values, principles, and actions. This right here, this is the master class. 100% is subjective. I think life in America is subjective. There are people in America who are having a great time. I shared that in the thing I wrote on Facebook. There are other people who, if you could take them back, they'll never come here with what they have experienced. So it's really subjective. And that's something that I want to encourage in people. When somebody tells you a story, it doesn't matter what the story is. I'm not saying be a skeptic, but be open to an alternate version. Be open to human biases. Be open to different recollections, right? Be open to the fact that this person is saying things from their perspective. I mean, you probably noticed this. This happens with siblings a lot. So I have 3 siblings. One of them passed. So, when siblings will fight, the first one will come and tell you, oh, this person did this. They took my toy, XYZ. Usually you'll be like, yeah, I know. Then you go and ask the other person what happened. And they'll say, oh, I was sitting down. She took her toy and threw it on my head. And so that's what happened. You left out this part of the story where you started this fight and then you end up crying because this person overpowered you. Similarly, when you hear somebody's experience, just imagine that they have a sibling in their mind who is not telling the whole story. And it will help you to understand that we are all, at some level, that sibling. We've all been that sibling where we keep part of the information because it's more convenient to hear what we'd want to hear. It's more convenient to twist the story a little bit, to get sympathy, to get understanding, to hide the part that we played. And I did that a lot. And I realized that if I was ever going to actually marry and be happily married, I was going to put everything on the table and tell my wife, like, this is what happened. This is how I messed up. This is where I didn't do well. This is what I did wrong. This is what I should have done differently. And this is who I am. I'm still working on XYZ. I still have these bad habits that I'm figuring out. So yeah, being honest like that to yourself can be a great way for you to understand the place where you're in. So, Blessing, to go back to your comment, right? It's subjective. And it starts to commit to people you meet 100%. When you move to a new place, you want to be connected to people who are living the kind of life that you would want to live. I think it's very easy. It's very easy to get carried away by the people we're surrounded by and not realize that they affect us. You've probably heard this quote multiple times. If you are surrounding yourself with 5 broke people, you'll be the 6th broke person. If you surround yourself with 7 successful people, you'll be the 7th successful person, right? So you want to be in a position where you are picking and choosing the people that you're surrounded by. Sometimes you can't choose. Sometimes, you're stuck in the place, and it's honestly, it's okay, but you have to acknowledge that your environment plays a role. Some people are better at avoiding their environment. Other people are not. So when you know yourself, you can make those decisions better, but that's a whole other conversation. So, but to support Blessing's point, the information that you have, the community you're in, the people you're surrounded by, they can affect you. So you want to be careful who you open up to, who you trust, who you allow into your life to make certain decisions when you're in a new place. Whether it's America, a new job, a new relationship, you want to pick the people carefully. And even if you can't pick them, at least listen to the advice and filter out what you don't need. So it's really important to do that. Your values, principles, and actions. If you don't have values, you will not stand for something and people will sway you away. And before you realize it, you've wasted years doing another person's agenda. So thank you for sharing that, Blessing. That was good. I appreciate it. All right. Ament is coming and do a freestyle. Yeah. Thank you for sharing with us. You're welcome, Stella. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this. We still have like 27 minutes, but I think we're going to wrap it up at 5:45. I don't want to stay here any longer than I need to be. So the live is going to be 45 minutes. So in a bit, we're going to wrap up just so that we can get on with our lives. Book resources. Stella shares some resources. There's John C. Maxwell, Intentional Living. That's a book. And we have here another comment from Blessing. Sweet. Sincerely, I've been in the same position recently. I've been shoving the idea to come live at least once a week for a while now and just realized I really need to stop doing so and get it done. Kudos for taking action and not just thinking about it. I will follow suit. To tell you the truth, I've been thinking about it for like 4 months. I've been thinking about it for like 4 months. So yeah, so thank you for actually encouraging me. This is nice. Please don't overthink it. Let me tell you why. I have over 200 and something videos on YouTube. I have 200 something videos on YouTube. Some of them I have one video where there are 60,000 people have watched that video. Every day I look at that video, I'm like, man, I wish I could make more videos like this. So I go and sit, I try to write a script, I try to build this thing, and then I end up procrastinating and pushing it further and further, and I don't do it, right? What I'm realizing is you have to go out there and be willing to fail. What I mean by that is you have to look at it as you're putting your reps. I know I'm preaching to the choir here, Blessing. You probably know exactly what I'm talking about. You will not get to lose, I don't know, X, Y, Z pounds, get abs, whatever it is, one day at the gym. It's every day that you go. And it's when you stop the idea of losing weight, when you make it a habit, then for whatever reason, you suddenly start losing the weight, you suddenly get the abs or whatever it is you're looking for. But it's the habit, right? So what I'm doing right now, it's building the reps. My success during these sessions is that I turned on the live button. Whether it's one person who shows up Nobody shows up. What I'm thinking in my mind is, all right, what am I going to talk to people about? Can I share something that even when somebody comes and watches this live after I've gone, they can get something out of it? So if somebody's watching, that's great. If they're not watching, that's fine. I pick the time, I pick the thing, I talk about it, and that's it, right? So just go ahead and get started. Go ahead and get started. That's really it. The more you do it, the better you get at it. You will learn a lot of things, and then you'll find yourself, you'll be so easy. Really. I mean, right now on TikTok, I've had one person comment, people are coming and going. I would normally feel discouraged, but I'm excited because people are actually showing up and I'm like, oh, who is this guy? I don't like him and I leave. Or who is this guy? What is he talking about? The world is, they can do whatever they want. It's fine. So thank you for the encouragement. Stella shares another resource, book resources, John C. Maxwell, Intentional Living, Intentional by David Amerland. So if you're watching this, you probably see this. Thank you so much, Stella. This is nice. I mean, you can probably see my library. They have a lot of books there, but Stella knows the right ones to recommend. So thank you. Another comment from a Blessing. Also, Tchassa, I realized that here in the US, those you listen to will deter your pace to a certain degree. That is a good one. People can only share what they know. Hence, you are likely to have the same limitations if you don't have mastery of you and your potentials. Thank you. This right here was a problem that I had when I got here. Let me give a scenario. I wanted to get into a different field from what people were recommending. I knew in my heart that I didn't want to do nursing. I didn't want to work at a gas station. I didn't want to, I don't have anything against these jobs. I just knew that there's no way I want to start. I just knew it. But the people around me were like, who do you think you are? You're not that special. I mean, that's not what they said. I'm exaggerating it, which is the sibling in my mind. I'm exaggerating. That's not what they're saying. But the notion was that is where everybody starts. You have come to this place. You're new here. This is what everybody does. So go ahead and do that. It was good, sound advice. It just wasn't good for me. And what you're saying here, Blessing, is very correct. People can give you good advice, but it's just not good advice for you. So you need to know, like you said, you need to have mastery of you and your potentials. You need to know who you are. The more time you spend in your mind, meditating, praying for God to show you who you are, taking those leaps of faith, like acting in faith. And that's how you find out who you are and what God has for you. Because if you rely on people, people will tell you what they think. And whether it's your parents, I mean, if I had to go back to like Cameroon, when I was in Form 5, I wanted to do history, literature, French. So in Cameroon, we do, long story short, I can't do it in this slide, but bottom line is that I want to do arts. My parents, rightly, because I had good grades, said, you should do the sciences. I listened. I was a good child. I wanted to be obedient. I listened, right? That, I want to say was a mistake, but it led me down a different path, which redirected me and all of that worked out for good for me today. But if I could go back, I'll probably take a different path. Bottom line is, you need to be careful who you listen to. You have to know who you are, what God has for you, so you can walk the path that He has for you. You can't just listen to everybody because they are successful and then expect to be successful. Know yourself, know what God has for you before listening to people. So, yeah. If we need the same procrastinating, right? Go ahead and get started. So don't worry, you'll be fine. You'll be all right. Blessing. Thank you for that comment, Blessings. You get me thinking, and it looks like I'm going to talk more about it at some point, either on a live stream or in an article. So, Ayokunle Omoni. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correct. I'll just call you Ayo. Sorry. Clergymen offer spiritual and moral support while therapists are clinically trained to diagnose and treat mental health issues. 100% agree with you. 100% agree with you. That's, I think I was sharing about my personal opinion. And I think that if clergymen were trained clinically, they'll be able to address both the spirit and the body. But that's just me wanting too much. Everybody should have their role to play. So don't mind me on my own idyllic opinions. All right. But yeah, 100% agree with you. Blessing says, thank you for that. For the few times I've been live since last year, my focus was seldom about the live views, but about the content and how much I wish someone could hear and be inspired to make a positive change in your life. You know, when you start, what I'm doing now is I'm going live everywhere. Wherever somebody's watching, that's great. If nobody's watching, honestly, it's great. It's more like I'm practicing. I'm getting better at speaking. I'm getting better at organizing my thoughts. For example, yesterday, when I started, I took forever to set up my Instagram and everything else. And somebody left a comment. somebody was watching, they tagged a friend, and this friend came and was like, this guy is taking too long to get to the point. And she was like, and when I watched, I was like, yeah, she's right. I'm taking too long to get to the point. And if you notice today, when I started the live, I just went straight to here are my questions. Here's all that. It was because I got feedback from yesterday. You would only get that kind of feedback if you're willing to try when you're not yet perfect, right? That's how you get the feedback to grow. So think of all of it as feedback. There is no, you either learn or you succeed. There is no failure. You learn or you succeed. So if you come live and you find out that, this particular time, for example, may not be good because not everybody's around, you change the time, you switch it up. And what people say on YouTube, for example, is that when nobody knows who you are, it's the best time to practice. So go ahead and get started. Pick your time that works for you. If it's 30 minutes, go ahead for 30 minutes, join in there and get started. That's what I can say, really. Yeah. Not every door is for you. 100%. 100%. And it says, I agree that clergymen help a lot. I believe both impacts are needed. For instance, we need doctors and men of God for healing. I like your show. You're doing well. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's very encouraging. I don't know if you caught me explaining earlier. I was saying that this is me practicing. I'm going to do this every day for this week. And then next week, I'll see if I'll continue or stop. But it looks like I'll find a different time. I'll be once a week. But I want to get back to creating more content. And this is like the low-hanging fruit. Turning on my camera, coming live is the easiest thing I can do. All I need to do is prepare my notes a little bit earlier, write something, and then share. So I'm building a kind of practice. I've been taking a course on content creation to really help me streamline my process. One of the things that I found that was holding me back was that I was relying on inspiration. I was relying on that moment that, oh, this is a great idea. I just write it down, post it, and then this is nice. And then wait for the followers to flow in. What I'm learning is to actually plan. For example, if you get a lot of ideas one day, don't try to put out all those ideas on the same day. Make a content plan, collect your ideas, collect the word you're trying to say, and put it in a process that you know how to use it. So thank you for sharing that. It's really encouraging for me so that I can think better. And I want, like you, Blessing, I want somebody to watch this show and learn something. That's really it. And not make the mistakes that I made. Make your own mistakes. Don't make mistakes that someone else has made, right? You will make your own mistakes. You cannot avoid those, but at least avoid the ones that I did. So, yeah. Blessing says, discernment to me is key in it all. I actually have a video on TikTok about discernment. I think it had like a couple of thousand views or hundreds. I don't know how much it was, but yeah. Discernment to me is key in it all. God brought me here in his own majesty. I really didn't see it coming. And when it came, I stayed for 3 months in Cameroon, my visa. When it was time, he moved me in under 2 weeks. Wow. Sticking to God's leading is key in making the right decision and staying in his will. 100%. I was one of those people who, when people said, oh, the Holy Spirit told me this, God has told me that, I was like, how did God tell you? Did he send you like an email, jesus@heaven.com? Like, what are you talking about? Now, I see it every day. I hear him every day. And I see how he had been telling me things. And I was just refusing to listen. And he was still telling me and still guiding me. And now I'm so grateful that he never gave up on me because, oh, thank you for the follow. I appreciate you. This is really nice. People are following me on TikTok. This is cool. Thank you. So, yeah. Discernment is key. Discernment is key. I really agree to be able to discern because people see with their eyes, you hear with your ears, smell with your nose and all those things, but you have to be able to, discernment is with your spirit. And some people do it without realizing that that's what they're doing because God is just so wonderful and gracious. However, when you get to a place where you're able to spend time with him and allow him to work through you, you will start noticing things. I find it difficult to explain what it means to be a Christian to people because it's one of those things that you have to experience. And then you get to a point where you realize you don't have to justify yourself or explain yourself. It's a way of life where the result of your life will speak for your values. Let me put it this way. If you believe in something, you don't have to explain to somebody that you believe in it. Just act in the belief. If you believe in Jesus, then act in that belief in Jesus that you have. You don't have to come online and do live streams to talk about the manner of speaking, right? You just live your life. And as you live your life, the results of your belief would pour in them. And that's what I think is the most important aspect of following Jesus is that you don't have to justify your belief. You stand for something, and everything that you do will be a reflection of what you stand for. And when it comes to discernment, I think practically speaking, discernment is the ability to be able to see what somebody is not saying, or what somebody is not showing you, to be able to hear what they are not saying, to be able to make decisions that come from a place of pray for OCD and family. Thomas Waiter. Okay. Who's that? So really, it's really one of those things that we need to really pray for, because you can only experience it. So yeah, let me go back to comments before I go on this rant. So yeah, he speaks daily. He definitely does. Blessing. He definitely does. Love his graphic. Hey, Guana, welcome to the show. We're doing this. I said we're going to stop at 5:56, but now I'm all hyped up, so I'll keep going until 6 o'clock if I can. But so please, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you have anything that you want to share, you want me to read on the comment section here, please feel free to write. I'll go ahead and do that. If you're watching on Instagram or on TikTok, you want to join. Thomas Walter, I see your comment. I don't understand. OCD, like obsessive compulsive disorder? Is that what you're saying? Or something else? Not sure. So please feel free to let me know. All right. I'm so glad he's so intentional about speaking to and with me. It's too much. When I was reading, there's this app, this Bible app. I keep trying to look for my phone. My phone is right here. Bible app that allows you to have this daily refresh. It's free app. And one of the verses today was about Jesus standing at the door and knocking. If you let him in, he would dine with you. And the person was explaining, was really talking about how God would not force himself into your life, right? He would knock, knock and the door shall be open, ask and shall receive. So we're basically saying he will be there for you. You just have to be willing to allow him to come into your life. It's really up to you. That's the whole point of free will. You get to decide how much God is involved in your life. And it's really a choice that we have to make individually. So yeah. You can't explain it, bro. You can't. When it happens, you'll know it has happened. See, there are people who. Is my stream still ongoing? I don't know if it's ongoing. Do I stream? And I hope I still have internet. I'm not sure. Well, I think so. I'm seeing that this live, but it looks like my camera is frozen. I don't know. Looks like it's frozen. If it's not frozen, then I guess it's just. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube or anywhere else, please let me know if it's frozen. Let me see if maybe the end of the show has really come to an end. So I'm just seeing comments here. I think my camera is frozen, but you can hear me. Guana, Blessing, please let me know if you can hear me. Let me see on Facebook if it's still live. I think it is. This is interesting. This has not happened before. I suppose it hasn't. But oh wow, Shmili, thank you. Is that better? Thank you. I think the audio should be back now. So I think it refreshed and muted and just took off everything. So this should be fine now. Let me know. Got back but lost audio. So let me see. Okay, it's back now. All right. So blessing. I was saying here that yes to this. Let's do it. Send me a message. More than happy to have that conversation. The podcast is where I was doing that previously. We can definitely resume and talk more about that. So yeah, definitely. Bro, I think it's really important to reiterate the God aspect. The most difficult thing about life is decision making. God takes away the doubt, anxiety, fear. He gives confidence. That God factor, bro. I I wasn't one of those people who went to church religiously. I went to boarding school 7 years. I did all the things that were supposed to make me a Christian, but it's only now that I'm looking back to realize that I was not. It's a really personal walk. And what Guana is explaining here is when you rely on God, it makes decision making a lot more smoother because you know that whatever path you take, you have his backing. And even if you make a mistake, he still has your backing. He still has you. And we will talk about more about this. But just want to point out that really, when you want things in this life, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and everything else will be added unto you. And one of the things that I saw on Instagram recently was about how that verse, it's telling us to be more concerned with the gift giver than with the gift. That's a whole other conversation. All right. So it was frozen for a short while. Thank you for the comments. At least that's good. So I want to sign off for now. I'm glad you stayed a while longer and we got to have an exchange of thoughts. I would like it to be live tomorrow evening or Friday. Yes, do it. Do it. Do it tomorrow evening. This live ends in 8 minutes. Yempa, welcome back on TikTok. I see you here. And I know I've not been paying attention to TikTok. So please, if you have a comment on TikTok, let me know. I'll read them. Hey, Uncle A, brother A, I see you. I see you. So please feel free to leave a comment. And yeah, that's pretty much what we've been doing today. Just talking about this. Okay, yeah, camera's frozen. I think it's back now. The live ends in 7 minutes. Tomorrow we'll be back same time, 5 p.m. Central to 6 p.m. Central. I will leave the topic on Facebook or YouTube. TikTok, I don't think we can schedule topics, so I'm not able to schedule a topic. But if you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment, leave a message. I'll be more than happy to do that, to answer. But that was it. I'm so grateful for you guys just staying here, hanging out. I hope you go out there and do something cool. You know, you're alive. You're living in a time when we can talk without having to go to any place. You know, you can just hang out in your house and discuss with people, like-minded people. You can watch people online, ask questions, hear conversations. I think it's a wonderful time to be alive. I think any time is a wonderful time to be alive. I'm also painfully aware that there are people who are struggling, people who are in pain, who just want that pain to go away, no matter how it looks like. Like, I'm not oblivious to the concerns of this world, of the difficulties of this world, of how painful life can be. You know, heartbreaks, disappointments, people screwing you over. Like, there's a lot of things, right? There's a lot of things that could go wrong, but there's also a lot of things that could go right. And I just want to point out that you don't have to focus only on one side. You don't have to be delulu and focus just on life is great, life is wonderful, life is bright. It's also like life is real. And there is a way to have a great experience of life without losing, you know, yourself or pretending to be somebody that you're not. And that is what I want to encourage you to do. That you should go out there and find out who you are. If you don't know who you are, then decide who you want to be. I think we get sometimes so stuck on finding our purpose that we forget that we can choose our purpose. And that purpose, if you're a follower of Christ, is to love and serve the Lord. And the Bible teaches all about that. Like for me, this is my Bible. It's always here. I take it to bed. I read it before I sleep. Wake up in the morning. Like I saw a video recently about we have 5 minutes left. So I'm just ranting. You can ask questions if you have anything to ask. We're just winding down now. Saw somebody talking about how if we used our Bibles the way we used our phones, how amazing would life be? There was this video. The guy was in the car. He was driving the car, reading his Bible. He was doing workouts, and he will stop some reps and open his Bible. He was playing with his pet, and he opened his Bible. It was like, man, we're doing all these things with our phones. Imagine if we did those things with our Bibles. Yeah. So that's what's up. That's what's up. So, thank you, Stella. Thank you, Blessing. Have a great day ahead as well. Have grace all around, new beginnings on the horizon. All right. If you have any questions for me, if you have any topic that you want me to discuss, if you have anything that you would like me to give my opinion on, please feel free to leave a message. I'm going to share. What's this? This is 4 minutes left. I made a checklist for people who are new immigrants, people who want to thrive in America. Matter of speak. Like if you want to, it's a free checklist they can get. Once you get that, just put your email, you get the checklist. It's a Google Doc. I recommend you make a copy, but that will allow you to be able to learn more and some step-by-step guide to help you adjust to life in America. I think a lot of people miss out on the opportunity that they have until it's too late. There's this bar that I follow on YouTube, Dr. Charles Apoki. May or may not have heard about him, but I think it's pretty cool. And one of the things I was saying today was getting old is like the meeting or the final AGM of the year. You get to know your debts, your profits, your investments, your dividends. You come to a point at the end of your life, where if you're lucky enough to live a long enough life. Oh, why is this verify what? I'm live. Why is this trying not to? All right. If you're able to live a long enough life, you'll be able to look at the end of your life and see what you did. And so when you're young, you get to make cool decisions. You get to choose the path that you walk on. You get to decide how your life is going to be. And sometimes we tend to forget that we will not be young forever. I mean, I'm 34 years old. I'm turning 35 next year. I can't believe it, but I still remember how I felt when I was 17, 18. And if you watch some of these videos, and we're wrapping up, 2 minutes left, some of these videos on the internet where they talk about, so this guy asking people who are 70 years old, how do you feel? Like, yeah, I'm 74. I feel 21. Inside, you won't feel like you've changed a lot, but your body will tell you that you've changed. So, yeah, thank you for hanging out. I enjoyed spending this time with you, sharing what I have, and I will see you tomorrow by God's grace. Take care of yourself, stay blessed, drink water, sleep well, do your best, and let God take care of the rest. I'll see you tomorrow.